Congratulations to the St George coach, and why wouldn't he? Because they have stormed back, showing what a champion team they are, to come back within 2 points of the Canberra Raiders with the kick to come, and it'll come from the man that scored the try, Ricky Walford. His record in the grand final, 1 goal from 2 attempts. What a crucial kick this is. The crowd has absolutely built up here at the Sydney Cricket Ground as Coach John Bailey looks on. And how much pressure is on Ricky Walford. There's his kick. Wait for the touch, judges. The flags go up. The grand final in reserve grade is all tied up at 16 all, and we've got just over 21 minutes of play remaining to decide the reserve grade grand final here. But Billy J. Smith, we were ready to write St George off, but haven't they stormed back?
Yeah, one of the major problems of Canberra defence, Bill. They missed 7 tackles to led to those 2 tries, so it's not surprising, is it?
And St George have been able to make those breaks by spreading the ball around. They might feel that Canberra have tied a little bit so far in the first 20 minutes of this second half, or the first 15 minutes. I'm sure what we're going to see from St George now is plenty of ball movement. They've got Canberra on the run, and that's where they're going to try to keep them. They'll spread the ball, the Dragons.
They did make one change into this second half. George Morocco came out shortly after the start, and Richard Clark came in, and he made a couple of early busts too. Since he's been there, St George seemed to have come alive.
Yeah, and it'll be a hard job for Clark because he played in the under-23 grand final. They've won that. He hasn't been able to savour the fruits of victory. He's had to sit on the sideline, but he's come on now as a fresh man after having a rest from the 3rd grade grand final, and here he is playing his part in the reserve grade.
Gee, Callum's come alive too, and since he's really got moving, they started to do.
He might have got another rocket from the coach.
Yeah, well, he might have, because he was told, Bailey told him he wanted him to pass the ball, but he started to run himself, and that's when things are starting to come together. Bit of a miss here for St George, however, into touch on the full. So our reserve grade grand final is all locked up at this stage at 16 points all. 16 points all, and 20 minutes remaining in the match. So we'll wait for Thompson to feed. Out one against the feed, so Neil gets it away. Cutting across over there is Johnston.
Gee, they're the mistakes you can't make in a grand final. Canberra letting St George come up with that one against the feed when the Raiders win attacking position. It's all St George here at the moment. They're just starting to finish on top, looking a bit too strong at this stage.
Powell about to play it. Dummy half this time is Townsend. Townsend back over to Neil, then away to Cannon. He decides to let it go. Yes.
They are looking to move it, aren't they?
Yes, got it on to Johns. They quickly let it go there, but they've lost it in the process, and Morrissey will end up with it for Canberra. And Morrissey still going. He's over the quarter line. Pretty tough customer to put down. Eventually they do it, though, about 20 metres out from the St George line. Well, can Canberra come back now?
Well, it's a vital stage of the game for the Raiders. I think they must have thought that they just about were home and hose. St George have hit back, and now it remains to be seen whether Canberra can do the same thing. And a lot of spirit needed from here.
Drop shot at goal going there from the half-back, but it's going to miss away there from Thompson. And so will they play coming back onto the quarter line. I suppose they're entitled to think, Bill, that they just about had it pretty much in their grasp, but it just goes to show what a game of football is like. In a matter of minutes, the whole thing has been turned around, and they're now 16 points all and fighting for survival.
Yeah, I think it's well and good that you can relax against some of the bottom sides in the competition, but when you get to a grand final and you're playing the minor premiers, you can't afford to have any lapses in concentration, and it was 2 such lapses that's allowed St George to get back on top of Canberra, and now they're looking good, but I'm not going to commit myself at this stage.
Well, one thing I must say, you didn't want to give St George away, because you know the brilliance of this side. They've been the high flyers in reserve grade right through the year, haven't they?
They certainly have.
Taking it up there this time is Walsh. Some players we've seen in the last couple of 5 or 10 minutes, Bill, that we didn't see a great deal of in the second half for St George. Are they settling into their pattern of play now?
Well, not only that, they've had a fair share of possession in this second half, and that was something that eluded them through mistakes in the first half. Football is a cyclical game in that if you drop the ball, you then give it to the opposition. Therefore, they've got all the ball, your defence falls apart and your game deteriorates even further. But if you can hold the ball for 6 tackles, it's amazing how quickly your game will fall back into shape, and that's happened for the Dragons in this second half of the grand final.
18 minutes to go in the reserve grade grand final as we welcome our viewers through Coffs Harbour and also up there through TVO in Brisbane. Reserve grade grand final in progress at the moment, and it's 16 points all.
Bill, Paul Barton has come on as replacement for Peter Davis. Paul, of course, is an Australian schoolboy and played in the test matches against New Zealand. He's still a schoolboy.
Yeah, well, that's a great effort, isn't it, for one so young to be able to go on in a reserve grade grand final, and it's something he'll remember all his life.
So we'll have a scrum a couple of metres inside St George territory. There's a replacement. Barton for the Canberra Raiders. Well, Davis has been found wanting on a couple of occasions since he scored that try. for the Canberra Raiders. They had an advantage of some 12 points over St George, but in a matter of minutes St George have flashed back in the second half to level it up at 16 all. There's a replacement player, Richard Clark, for St George. He came on for Captain George Morocco. So Elliott now. He's only about 10 metres in from touch. Don't think he'll take too many risks here. No, he doesn't. And a reminder too, of course, if it is a draw, we'll have an extra 10 minutes each way, Bill.
Yes, we will, and if it's still a draw, we'll have a replay on Wednesday night.
That's Blake cutting through up to the quarter line now. About to play at dummy half up there is Jensen. Jensen getting it over there. Now there's Morrissey into it again. No, it's not. It's on that occasion it was Ellis, yes. So now it's Thompson up as dummy half. Here's the Raiders putting on the pressure. Can they do it? Cuts out Backo. They're losing the ball, however, running away from the position there. Just close to the line was Johnson, and Johnson put to the ground. Away from dummy half is Walford. Walford a couple of metres, about 5 or 6 metres away from the St George line. Graham Hughes, you might have some action down on that touchline.
Yeah, Stephen Jones in 42, Billy. He's about to come on for Mark Glanville, and apparently that'll cause a team change in the St George lineup with Mark Cannon moving to lock forward.
Thanks, Graham. Here's St George, just on their own quarter line at this stage. There's Cannon, but well wrapped up on this occasion. No chance of getting away from the Canberra defence. Very smartly on top of him was Johnson to wrap him up. Walford dummy half. And getting it across to Neil. They spread it wide. Now we've got a little bit of room to move over the top, coming through, sending it back inside. That would have carried forward, would it? Certainly knocked on. Referee playing it on, so it'll be Canberra getting away with it, and that's Darren Waters there, lock forward.
I think we had the indication there where St George spread the ball on the sixth tackle rather than kicked it, that they must field. They've got the advantage on Canberra out wide. The Canberra players are starting to tire, and they almost came up with a long break, St George.
So Jensen from dummy half, sending it across over in centre there. Ellis going to ground with it. 16 points all in the reserve grade grand final. Canberra and St George with just 15 minutes remaining in the match. Dummy half is Thompson, who's not afraid to get involved. Nor is this fellow either, in Morrissey coming up. Losing possession, however. St George ending up with it. Neil is the dummy half. Seen a bit of him in the second half too. He seems to have become much more involved. Injured player down there. There's players going in all sorts of directions at this stage here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. St George and Canberra, 16 all in the reserve grade grand final.
Heat is on. Yeah. Heat is on.
Tonight, at the special time of 7:30, the Man of Steel returns.
The reserve grade grand final live here on Network 10 from the Sydney Cricket Ground. It's locked up at 16 all with St George on the attack, and that's Walsh taking it up to 12 metres out from the Canberra line. It's been a great fight back by St George. It goes out through Neil and then to the replacement player Jones. Here's Johns. Beautiful tackle that time. Stops his progress just metres short of the line. And St George still on the attack, but they lose the ball. So Canberra back in possession. Brian Johnston leaving the field. And who's the replacement, Graham?
In 31 on the left wing is Kevin Duckett.
So Kevin Duckett, also a member of that victorious under-23 side, is on the field for Brian Johnston. So Canberra with possession of the ball. Injured player is Waters, the lock forward. We noticed that Mark Glanville was replaced by Jones. Jones moving to 5'8", Billy, but tremendous raps on young Mark Glanville, the Australian schoolboy, coming into this grand final, but he only effected 2 tackles in the second half, and that's probably the reason John Bailey bought him off.
He is an outstanding young player. He must have suffered an injury either late in the first half or early in the second half that affected his game. He's only made the 2 tackles, and the change that's been made is Jones going to 5'8", which necessitates Cannon moving into lock, and he'll handle that. But one of the players that has held St George together in the forwards has been their hooker, Tony Townsend. He's already made 35 tackles in this match. He's had first-grade experience, and he's doing a great job for them in the centre of the rucks.
Well, you'd probably remember him from the days in Brisbane, Bill, when he played with brothers in 81 and 82.
Yes, well, he's put a big one in here today.
Here's Johnson with the ball now. He's really put himself into this match in the second half after making that error. There's Duckett, and he's well claimed in the tackle by Blake. He gets to his feet now and plays it to Johnson. And there's Jones. Jones unloaded to Walford, who's come in from the right wing looking for work. but he's claimed midway between the half and the quarter line at St George's end of the ground. They were down by 16 points to 4, the Dragons. They fought back to 16 all as Funnel takes play to within 10 metres of the halfway line. Townsend goes into dummy half. Ball loose on the ground. Neil can't control it. Johnson finally does. The referee says it was knocked back. Now Jones, nowhere to go as that defence in the form of Waters comes up to put him on the ground. There's the kick. Back for young Martin, the fullback. He took it very confidently. Takes play up towards the halfway line. In fact, crawls his way to within 1 metre of that halfway line. Elliott claimed to the tackle by Walford. 10 minutes remaining in this grand final. 16 all the scoreline.
Well, these are probably the stages in a game where, as a coach, you'd like to get a fresh replacement on to can drop kick a field goal for you or maybe break the defensive line. But out of necessity, both of the coaches in this match have had to use their replacements in order to satisfy injuries that have occurred. So they are in a difficult position.
There's Jensen. So play again, midway between the half-quarter line. St George end of the ground. What will Canberra's tactics be on the last tackle? There's the kick from Thompson. Hoiking it high in the air. Johnson under pressure, took it well. Right in front of his own goal line and takes play 10 metres out.
Well, that was a better take by Johnson. It's worth noting that he did have some protection from Alan Neal, who was able to support him.
Now St George move it again. It's taken upfield by Richard Clark and takes it outside the quarter line. That's Townsend into dummy half. Rick Bale, who's worked very hard for St George. Cannon playing it lock forward now. There's Walsh. But again, that strong defence from Canberra. Last tackle from St George. 16 all the scoreline. There's the kick. Deep downfield. Martin dropping back for the Raiders. The ball bouncing inside the quarter line. And he's got no support, but he's got plenty of pace, but beautifully mowed down.
Well, they're the things that win you the game. To my mind, that was probably the play of the game from Mark Cannon. St George having all sorts of problems, trying to ruck the ball out of their own area. They kicked the ball on the last tackle. It went to Martin. He had a lot of room to work in, and Cannon came from the clouds to pull him down, and that puts St George back on the attack again if they can get possession.
Well, that's one of the ingredients in that when you reach that final tackle and the kick, it's the chase that's more important, Bill, isn't it?
It certainly is. The kick's only as good as the chase. You can put through the best kick in the world, and if you've got no chases, it's of no value to you.
So Canberra, this time putting the ball to the air. Johnson coming across for St George. Will that bounce beat him? It goes back infield. He takes it on his quarter line. He's got Duckett in support on his left. He elects to go towards the touchline. 1 down, 2 to go. That's the sign, but this game far from over. We've got 8.5 minutes remaining as Jones goes to dummy half. He goes the blind side. Funnel taken upfield before he's claimed in the tackle. Once again, Jones goes to dummy half. He feeds Clark. He takes it to 10 metres into Canberra's territory before he's claimed in the tackle. Townsend has really worked hard for the Dragons today. Cannon now Jones. He's got space. Johns. Williams with Walford in support. Got the pass infield, but a beautiful tackle by Blake ends his progress. Williams a dummy half. St George on the attack. It's put high in the air. Pressure on Canberra. But it's taken 2 metres out from their own line. It's 16 all in the grand final here at the Sydney Cricket Ground as Morrissey takes play upfield.
So they'll take it from there. 10 and 16 all. It's the score, all right. Plenty of action here at the Sydney Cricket Ground in this reserve grade grand final. Canberra well down inside their own quarter and attempting to get it out from there. But not being terribly successful on that occasion. Going to ground with it will be Wilson.
Well, it's real nail-biting stuff, but I think the tactics aren't that flash from either side. There's only been the one attempt at field goal. I thought then, when St George put up the bomb, they might have been better served to come up with the 1 point, and that would have sealed the game for them.
A couple of the fresher players, the wingers and so forth from Canberra, getting in there, acting as dummy half and so forth, trying to relieve their forwards a little bit because they've done a bit of the slogging work. This is Elliott kicking for touch. Ball carrying down there towards Duckett. Duckett going to take it, slips back inside, but is going to be claimed in the tackle. Over there will be Waters, the lock forward for Canberra. So away from dummy half Johnson. Johnson will be well wrapped up, however. Coming in there to take care of him will be Michael Blake. Another replacement for St George. Once again, here's Mr. Mortimer down there.
Billy in for St George, number 38, Chris Guider on the sideline. He'll be going on to take the place of Tony Townsend.
Thanks, Graham. Back here now with St George in possession, about 5 metres inside Canberra territory. Waiting there as dummy half will be Townsend. Saints have used all their 4 reserves now. A little bit of scrappy play here, but there it's Cannon trying to step through. Good when he followed through after that kick before, and he does move very fast in those forwards in there, really gets it going. Here's a kick through by Neil, a nice high one. Plenty of St George players there. They're going to look, they regather. Knock on there. So at this stage, in the reserve grade grand final, it's still St George in Canberra at 16 all. Reserve grade grand final, and they're locked up at 16 points all. And Graham Hughes, I think we've had a few more changes down there.
Of course we have. Well, of course, Chris Guider has now going on. You see him there in 38 making that tackle for St George, replacing Tony Townsend. And in the second row for Canberra, number 34 is Gary Britt. He's replaced Paul Elliott.
OK, so Canberra putting on some pressure now. They're about 30 metres out from the St George line.
They've got no choice to make. They've got to settle it up the middle here and then have a shot for a field goal. No decisions whatsoever should enter their mind other than that.
And another 6 in there. So Canberra in a nice situation now. Backo, who's done a lot of the tough, hard work up the centre for Canberra today.
And by the way, Bill, on that field goal, they don't have to wait till the 5th tackle. Now's the time to do it. They are in position. They're 20 metres out, right in front.
Well, the man would probably have to look for what Elliott's done, and most of their kicking for line. Is he going to kick for goal? Yes, he does, but it's Thompson, rather. It was charged down, eventually picked up back there by Martin. And so it's Canberra. Blake.
Now they should do exactly the same thing. Have another shot.
Turn it up again. All right, let's see who goes this time. No one. Running around. Canberra right in front of the sticks and only about 18 metres out. They swing it back. Here's Thompson again. Well away and shorts. And back over the dead ball line. Play will come back onto the quarter. Nail-biting stuff, all right. Alan McMahon very nervous. So too is Don Furner. Don't say I blame them, Bill.
Not at all. A draw in any game for a coach is a real trauma, but in a grand final it's worse.
Here's a little bit of trouble now as we see Johns on the move. Johns is tackled. Dummy half is Duckett's. Can St George pull it out of the fire, or we go to the extra 20 minutes of play? Here we go. Johns. Well wrapped up though by the Canberra defence. They've come a long way now. They're not going to give it away at this stage with 2 1/4 minutes remaining. So here we see going through up there is Jones. Jones wrapped up. Cannon to dummy half. Cannon waiting. Turns it across over there. Back inside. Trying to find a way through will be Clark. Clark will be wrapped up. Cannon is the dummy half. Under the 2-minute mark now. Still at 16 all. Taking it up there is Clark again. So St George obviously going to work their way up. They're on the final tackle. They're a fair way away. So it'll be a kick through, but back over there will be Martin. Martin takes it, runs it out. Wolfen up there to tackle him. Wraps him up. 18 metres out now from the Canberra line. That's Morrissey. Morrissey wrapped up. 1 minute and 24 seconds remaining. So it looks like we've got the extra time, Bill.
Well, it went right down to the wire in the 3rd grade with the under-23s with a 24-20 win to St George, and this one's not looking any different. We're going right down to full time, and it does look as if we'll be going into that extra 10 minutes each way.
So here's Canberra, about 8 metres short of that halfway mark. About to play it is Waters there locked forward. That's Backo. Backo's done a lot of the tough stuff.
Had a huge
He's still doing it. Gets the pass away, but it's going to be lost to St George. No, they can't handle it either. Still going. Referee Stone says play on. St George ball, and the man underneath there will be Duckett with it. Johnson is the dummy half. That's Cannon. Cannon straight ahead, but well wrapped up in the tackle. Walford is the dummy half. 35 seconds remaining. Funnel. Backo's there, still going as Backo. Also a crossover there will be Hamilton for Canberra. Running it out. Long pass. Right over the top, taken out here by Duckett. Duckett still going, up over the halfway, turns it around. This is Johnson. Can they pull it out of the fire at the deck? Back inside over there to Duckett, and away they go. It'll be a try right on the time. Right on the bell, it's Neil in for the try. Alan Neil, the halfback. And they made it with, what, 10 seconds to go, Bill?
There was 6 seconds to go on the clock. One of the passes there looked like it might have been forward to me. We'll see it on replay, and I'll try and pick up exactly which one it was, but a great finish for St George. Have a look at the elation there on the sideline. John Bailey, the red and white flags are flying.
Yes, I'm the same as you, Bill. I'll be very interested to see this as we go.
Here it is, the pass from Alan Neal. It went back on to Jones. He threw the ball over the top to Duckett. Duckett didn't look like he had anywhere to go, really. He started off the right, then the left foot, stepped back inside, fired the pass back on the outside, and there he found Brian Johnson. That was the pass that looked like it might have been forward. It picked up the support on the inside. It was Jones again. He got the pass back to Alan Neal, and a very happy Alan Neal crashes over to score the 4 points that has won this one for St George.
Brian Johnson, of course, made the error that let Davis score a very crucial try. This is the one that Billy Anderson and Billy J. Smith and I all thought looked a bit forward. It was hard to tell from that angle, but more importantly, Alan Neal scoots away, and that's the try that has sealed the game for St George. Well, Graham Hughes is down there with John Bailey.
Thanks, mate. John, 5 seconds left on the clock. Could you believe it?
What a way to go. What a way to go. The replacements, they made the difference when I sent them on. Unbelievable.
John, a big performance by the side. Both sides doing it very, very tough. As you said, the replacements there. Who was your star?
Oh, make me star, I don't know, really. Ricky Powell probably in the second half. But, they all played well. I couldn't take anything away from any of them.
John, congratulations on a great achievement.
Thanks very much.
Ricky Walford puts the extras, the icing on the cake. And it's a 22 points to 16 win by St George. So they're on target to repeating their performance of 1963 when they won all 3 grand finals. NEC, of course, have put up the $250 for the man of the match and the NEC Big Game Trophy. And Bill, I don't think we can go past Mark Cannon. He's played in a cup final at Wembley. He's come out today and really inspired this St George side.
He certainly did. He had a great second half, Mark Cannon. I thought all the St George players were way off their game in the first segment of this particular game, but the second half, Cannon led by example. He chased on kicks, he tackled when it was necessary, he covered, defended, he took the ball up himself, and I think he was the man that made the decision from the 5'8" spot, and then when he moved a lot, that it was necessary to spread the ball. St George did move the ball out wide, and it was that tactic that finally won the match. Even there with 5 seconds to go, the quick movement of the ball got the ball to the sideline for the winning.
So the man of the match is Mark Cannon. He's down there with Graham Hughes, and no doubt he's totally elated.
Mark, well played. Thanks very much. Did you believe it, that last couple of seconds?
Let's get out of jail, isn't it? That's great. I didn't think we could do it. I thought we were going to be an extra 10 minutes each way. But that just goes the way, show the way that football's played.
Well, Mark, the champagne's flowing here behind us. I know you want to join in with the side. $500 for the man of the match from NEC, as well as the NEC Game Ball Trophy. Well played.
Thanks very much. I'd like to thank the sponsors for the money. It's great. And can I just say one big hello to Keg Day. Thanks.
Mark Cannon, our NEC man of the match. After this break, we'll be back live at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
I think. Yeah, they've just revived him, but he'll be back in time for what will be some sensational entertainment coming up here, leading to the big one for the grand final of the A grade.
Well, Billy Anderson, this is what the sides begin in March, the dream of doing the victory lap at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and already St George have claimed 2 out of the 3, and now the pressure's on the first grade side against Canterbury Bankstown.
Well, it's a tremendous achievement by any club to be able to win any grade, and they've won 2 and looking for the first grade. I do agree with what you've said. I think there's a lot more pressure on St George than there is on Canterbury Bankstown. But before we get on to that, let's have a look at these second grade players. It's something they're always going to remember. They're receiving their trophies from Wayne Pearce, the deserved Rothmans medal winner this year, and now that's the policy of the league. Greg Alexander, who was the Dally M winner, presents the third grade, the under-23 awards, and our Rothmans winner each year will present the reserve grade.
Well, for Duckett, Clark and for Guida,
a big day.
They've picked up 2. And there's George Morocco, the captain of the St George side. He's a player, also played with Souths in Brisbane, Bill. And they're going now on that victory lap at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Champions in reserve grade, but it took them to the 69th minute, or less than that, to achieve that after the game was all locked up at 16 points all. Billy J, I really thought it was going to go into extra time.
Yes, and particularly with the number of reserves that were coming out of the woodwork there at the end. Everyone running players on left, right and centre, but whoever thought they could pull it out right at the last minute?
Well, Robert Stone on crutches. Nothing will keep him out of the action.
He might finish it by 5 o'clock tonight.
But I tell you what, Bill, this is the time when we should also think about the losers, Canberra. They came all the way from the ACT, their first ever grand final appearance for their club, and they did their club proud here. I'm sure that our fans watching this on CTC 7 Canberra will be just having a little thought about it at the moment.
Everyone that saw Canberra play today would be proud of the performance they put up. We could take nothing away from them. It's just unfortunate in any sport. You've got 100% elation when you win, and it's 100% disappointment when you lose, and that's the way it's got to be. But a great effort by Canberra.
So there's the scene. We've seen plenty of action already in the grand final day at the Sydney Cricket Ground in 1985. We've put together a little film clip to the tune of where the action is. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Introducing the tribute to you.